apologize for how long it's been since I've last made a video. Um, Today I'm going to do something for fun. I'm doing a piece for a classic sci-fi British show only super nerds would probably really know about, called Blake 7. This is actually for a fan thing being put together. I'll put some links below when I can. Anyway, I don't know if you've ever seen Blake 7. It's sort of like the cousin to Doctor Who, but with shakier sets. But great characters. It lasted 4 seasons. And anyway, I'll blab a little bit more about it as I work. I'm going to be inking today mostly with my charities brush pen. I will use some Uniballs, which are always one of my favorites. This Bimoji marker pen. And maybe one of these very small pit pens. I've also picked out some Blake 7 music to accompany this to make it extra nerdy, because I'm not going to blab through most of this. I'm going to end up being quiet and just inking. So I'm just going to start inking, and then if I have something to say, I'll say it. Here's some Blake 7 incidental music for you in the background. So this character I'm making here, his name is Avon, and he's actually why I started using my middle name, Avon. I hid that name for a long time. Not quite hid it, but I just knew, being a kid. Where'd my pen go? Hold on. This happens to me all the time. I just put my pen down and I can't find it. Oh, here we go. Being a kid, especially in the 80s, the whole Avon calling thing was still really big. So anytime I told somebody my middle name, I didn't mind the teasing. It was a good laugh. It's always funny. But, you can only hear that joke so many times. So after a while, I just didn't bother telling anybody because the obvious is irritating. But when I saw this show, it was actually my pal Adam Hughes was telling me about this show, and he was like, yeah, if my middle name was Avon, I would totally be using it, and this is why. And then he showed me Blake 7, and Avon Kerr is just a great fucking character. He might be my favorite of what I call the asshole hero. Meaning, he's got that contrast between being on the right side of things, but, he's not the most polite. He isn't down with small talk and niceties and shit like that. He's a know-it-all. He's a bit of a braggart. He's kind of arrogant. But he's still a hero when it comes down to it. And a thief. But, he's in a universe where that's pretty acceptable because the people who hold the money and power are all corrupt. Anyway. I have ideas for Blake 7 to bring it back. Of course, everybody does. I think mine are fairly unique, and I don't know if anybody else has thought of it. The problem with bringing a show back like this, though, is a big part of its charm was its bad special effects. and I don't really mean charm, but those bad effects actually suck you in a way. I mean, you both like laugh at it and all of that, but it also forces you to, at least for me when I was younger, to engage my imagination harder without thinking about it, like realizing that my brain was really filling in all the parts that were not there visually. You know, it was more engaging in a way. So, like, if you bring back Blake 7 and you have top of the line special effects and all that, I don't. It sucks out something for us older fans of it. And I'm not sure what it would do for new fans, because it would just look like everything else. One of the other problems is that Blake 7 has just been imitated so many times over the years. To bring it back, it would not seem original. When I first saw Blake 7, I thought it was basically supposed to be like I don't want to call it a ripoff, but like a take on the Star Wars universe with its space rebels and that kind of thing. But the timing doesn't work out. It actually came out around the same time, at least the first season did. So I don't think it was as heavily influenced by Star Wars as I thought that it was. I think it had more to do with the creator, this guy named Terry Nation. Yeah, he grew up during World War II. And when you look at the Star Wars universe, it's really World War II in space. It's not cowboys in space. It's World War II in space. Anyway, yeah, Blake 7 does have some things in common with Star Wars. One of the interesting things about it is oh, I lost my track of thought because somebody's trying to call me on my phone. Yeah, I love the show. Great characters, just great characters. They had no script. No budget. So really all they had was some good actors and a great script. I mean, when it was, at its best, of course, because there's plenty of like horrible episodes and some pretty bad stuff. But mixed in there is some real great stuff, including possibly the greatest ending to any sci-fi show ever. Oh, I remember I was going to say before about one of the interesting things about Blake 7, and I figured this out listening to a Blake 7 podcast called Blake 7 in Character, and in it they were talking about how, these effects that we all kind of laugh at now, we have to keep in mind that they were done at a time when these shows were not meant to be seen more than once. Maybe you'd get lucky with some sort of rerun you might catch, but generally it was meant to be seen the night that it was aired, and that was it. So that's why a lot of the special effects were so shoddy looking. It wasn't just because of the lack of budget, but you weren't intended to see it more than once, and you certainly weren't intended to see it at will on high def DVD or Blu-ray and stuff. Like, it was just meant to be a thing that happened. It was meant to be in its purest form, just this entertainment that happened that one night, and that's all you would ever see. In fact, when they filmed it, they filmed it in a combination of video and film. So from what I understand, you can't get this on Blu-ray because the stock differences between the video stuff. Ah, shit, I smeared it. Between the video stuff and the film footage, I think there's a huge difference, and I don't know that you can get them together on the same screen and fix it. So there may never be a good release of this. In fact, I don't think the DVDs have ever been released in the United States either. You have to have a all-region player. usually I work digitally, and it's exactly because of this stuff, and like I have to slow down and make sure that I'm not gonna smear anything, which is one of the reasons why I wear this glove. But digital is beautiful because I can move as quickly as I can. But then you don't have, the original piece. And also, I do really, I love working traditionally. I gotta get good at what I notice is people who work more traditionally, especially if they're working with like a quill pens, they've trained themselves to just work in this direction so they're not overlapping their hand while it dries off, and I've really got to discipline myself to do that more. Paul Darrow's amazing nose. So if you're interested in Blake 7, I think exactly because of some of the issues I was talking about before, with the videos just not holding up and stuff, I think they've been fairly relaxed about Blake 7 episodes on YouTube. I think they get pinged every now and then, but you can always find a new feed. So this is a show you can find, surfing around out there. It's very, very slow paced compared to anything now. But if you're big into this stuff, I can't imagine not liking this. If you like old Doctor Who, I can't imagine you have too much trouble with this. But it definitely doesn't hold up. I mean, it's just from a different world, different time, different, like I said, the way it was executed, to be seen really just that one time. Everything about it was just created differently. Now, I don't know how many years ago, quite a long bit back now, I was in talks with a company who was in talks with Terry Nation and whoever owns the copyrights of this to do a new Blake 7 comic that was like updated and stuff. I'm glad we never did it because, again, as a real hardcore fan, there's something about not being able to separate the original material from what Blake 7 is. To bring it back feels problematic. I do have an idea now of how to do it, but I'm going to keep that to myself in case I get an opportunity to, pursue that in any way. But my idea, I think, only works as a television series, as a show, not as a comic, which would be way easier for me to do, because, proof of concept and all that kind of thing. We'll see. It's just a fanboy thing. It's nothing I can think about seriously. Alright, here's Avon. 4th season, he got this really weird, dry 80s hair look. I'm going to have to fix this area in here. You see how the bridge of his nose is being overlapped by his eyebrow? Like, his eyebrow should not overlap the bridge of his nose like that. But that's what I'll do digitally. I'll touch that up, and this as well. There's not too much I can do about that smear. A lot of times when I get these little streaks, they're either weak enough that they erase pretty easily, or I can work with it. Just add some detail or something to it. Alright, this guy is the hero, the original hero of the crew, Blake, from which Blake 7 is named after. If you ever saw Logan's Run, his setup is very similar to Logan's Run, to the original. Logan's Run is another interesting one you can't really redo. It's been redone so many times already that if you redo it, it's just going to feel flat. And, it's just been a concept done so many times now. But that was a fun old movie. Great concept, too. So this is very Logan's Run-like in its very beginning. Blake is a revolutionary who's had his mind wiped out, and false memories implanted into his head. terrorism or murder. I think it was child murder. Something really, really horrible. It's pretty dark considering this was a family show when it aired. And this, it's far, far into the future. There's a corrupt government that runs everything, and of course, a resistance. Again, these are all reasons why I thought it was very Star Wars-like, but it turns out that I don't think it was intentionally, like it wasn't taken from Star Wars as much as I thought that it was. So anyway, Blake is this kind of ideological rebel. And of course, without his... what happens is, he's eventually found guilty of these crimes, and he's put on trial, and then he's sent off to some prison planet. And en route to the prison planet, he meets other criminals, of course, and they escape. They plan their escape off of this prison barge. And that's where you get the other 7 eventually. And they've all have various reasons to want to take down the Federation. I mean, it all sounds pretty standard fare now, but you have to remember at the time it was done, these tropes weren't so common. And Blake was interesting because he wasn't quite your typical bleeding heart rebel. He could do really bad things if he had to. And sometimes if it wasn't for his other crew members keeping him in check. He wasn't super extreme like that, but, every now and then you get the sense that he really needed the crew to keep him from going overboard. And his idealism versus Avon's pessimism, his just straight out criminal mind. They balance each other out really, really well. Just made for some of the best character banter ever. And dynamics. So good. You know who else is a big fan of Blake 7 is my pal Greg Rucka, the creator of stuff like Old Guard and Whiteout. Stumptown, a bunch of other stuff. We always kind of daydream about somehow getting to do Blake 7 together. And also my friend Brian Glass, who I worked with on Ship of Fools. That was like one of my first real creator-owned things, and that was just totally Blake 7. That was me just saying to him, I want to do my Blake 7, because the show obviously wasn't ever going to come back, and, I was younger, didn't have that many ideas, I just wanted to live what I was enjoying, and that was, Blake 7 was part of that. So we did this thing, Ship of Fools, very much modeled off of Blake 7. I apologize if my hair keeps popping into shot there. Can't talk much about the end of Blake 7, just that it was one of the best endings for any shows ever. One of the reasons for that was it just had to tie in with the show itself, so it's kind of hard to explain without spoilers and whatnot. Let's just say it ended leaving you wanting more. I think in a good way, though. It left you wanting more, not in like a bad way, but in a way it was like, what's next? And everybody had perms back then. I don't know why. There were a lot of space perms. He had a perm. This other guy, Tarrant, had a perm. It was just all over the place in that time period. Perm. Alright, another great character here. His name is Villa. Villa is a thief and a coward who, I think, well, less than being a coward, he's a survivor. Because he's not physically strong. He's not super, super smart. I think he's a lot smarter than he ever let on. Like, his character did a lot of faking. Faking being helpless and weak as a means of survival, you know. He's easily you can evaluate him. I'm losing words right now. Can underestimate him very easily. But he's a badass in his own right. And an interesting character. It's usually the funny one of the group. And one of my favorite scenes of all time happens in Blake 7, and it's between Villa and Avon. And if you're a fan of the show, if you've watched all or most of them, I bet you know what I'm talking about. Like, Avon was a character, and this is mostly because of the actor. Even if the episode wasn't good, all you needed was a little Villa to make it feel worth your time, you know? He also reminded me a little bit of Phil Collins for some reason. Oh, I hear my cat moving around. There's a good chance he might just pop up here on the desk, and we're gonna have to fight. And a little beady eyes, but maybe I'm going too far with this. I don't know. I'll fix it in post. Post as in Photoshop. But I'm still happy with this. I like this. All right. The lake house is coming together. Alright, I think that's it from Villa. Oh, I should finish Blake's eyes, shouldn't I? I feel like I should use like a thinner pen, one of those pens I was showing you before for this. And I might regret not doing that. Just get these finer details. But let's see. The brush is feeling good in my hand, so sometimes I'll just keep going. Just barely touching the paper with this pen right now, and with the brush. Alright, I think this is working out. Alright, now I'm going to use this Uniball because I think it gives really good wrinkly lines, fine lines. You'd be surprised at the quality of line you can get out of a freaking Uniball pen. Oh, I can hear my cat just wandering around right now. He's going to come up here looking for a fight, I can tell. Ear. Alright. One of the other reasons I work digitally so much is the amount of time it takes to fill in black. I feel like I'm dying right now. I've got things to do, man. Just sitting here filling in, coloring in solid black is just kills me. I'm impatient. Well, I'm not impatient. I just got a lot of deadlines, and I'm too ambitious by doing multiple projects at once all the time. And yet, anytime I slow down, I regret it. So I'm some sort of workaholic. I definitely see all my self-worth and values tied up into my art. It's not the most healthy thing in the world, but there you go. That's where I'm at. So yeah, always wanting to draw, create something new. I've got a new unannounced series that I'm working on, which I'm dropping in a lot of little Blake 7 Easter eggs, and that's fun. It hasn't been announced yet or anything. I think we're good here. All right, next on, these are the 3 characters from the been around the whole time, kind of, sort of. The core characters, I guess you could say. By the 4th season, some of the actors have switched out. Characters have come and gone, so these are some new ones. This guy, his name is Tarrant. Oh, real quick, I'll just tell you art-wise what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ink their sort of outlines first. And I'm going to switch from this brush pen, which is a little thicker, to one of the Bimoji pens. I really like the outlines I get on this. So I might do a combination of this Bimoji pen and the brush, and I'll kind of explain that as I go along. There's just a finer line to this that I can get a steadier line on. So I'm going to start with this. Actually, I'll do a couple of the thicker details first that I know I want to be brushier. So anyway, this is Tarrant. Tarrant is an interesting character because he's kind of universally hated amongst fans. Hated might be a strong word. He's kind of insufferable, you know. So, but again, that's actually why I find him interesting. Is a lot of these characters are not characters that are what's the word? Like you look up to them and you want to be them, you know. And I love that they have the bravery to do that. So like, this guy is kind of, my assumption of his character is that he has suffered really badly under the Federation, and instead of becoming really focused in like in a way to help people in the best possible way, he's got too much anger in him, so he's just kind of cocky and arrogant, and he's lost his way through his anger, whereas like Blake and others were able to focus it in a more productive way. You get the feeling that Tarrant might end up becoming a bad guy at some point because he's been kind of ruined on the inside by his anger and frustrations and all of that surrounding the Federation. Or something bad can happen to him and he can turn around and, change as a person, become better. Sort of like, I'm in the middle of watching Winter Soldier right now, and the U.S. agent character, I guess, is kind of like that, I don't know where they're taking him ultimately, but maybe it's sort of like that, where he wants to be a good guy, but if he's pushed the wrong way, he might just end up being a real piece of shit. And you get the feeling if Tarrant caught somebody from the Federation, he might actually enjoy torturing them to get information out of them, as opposed to just, Avon would just torture him for the purpose of it, just get it done. Blake wouldn't torture unless he absolutely had to. But you get the feeling Dana definitely wouldn't, Sulin wouldn't, without extreme reasons to. But you get the feeling Tarrant would, kind of enjoy it. Boy, that is the most I've ever gone on about this character. This is the nerdiest I've sounded in a while. I miss it. I haven't been able to talk about this stuff in forever. One of the things I like about this pen is how I can go from this really thin to just the right amount of thickness with it. So thin up here, and then thicker as you see the edge of it some more. And thin again. Yeah, I really like the variation you get here. I should have looked at this closer. I'm going to have to use some penciling here to draw his hand out better, because I was a little sloppy with it. So I think I'm going to work with, I'm going to use this really fine Pigma pen for Tarrant's face. These aren't great likenesses of these characters. I'm not great with likenesses. So what I'll typically do is I'll look at a photo of the characters, and in my mind, I think about the impression the shape of their face leaves in my mind. And usually that gives me some sort of stunt double-y kind of vibe to the face. Like, I'll just get the general shape right or something, I think I got Paul Darrow's got this kind of rectangular face pretty well. He's really easy for the most part. So I think I kind of got Tarrant. I definitely got his arrogance here. And Tarrant also has a perm. Space perm! Oh yeah. So let's just put in some black shapes here to give his hair a little bit of depth. But still the space all around it here, the black, so we get this nice contrast between the two. Alright, this is coming together well. Alright, let me play around with the hand here. Alright, that worked out. Because his shirt here, there's kind of like a slight lift to it. On this side of it, it's going to be lighter, and this side slightly darker. It just helps give some depth to the clothing. There you go. These nice little brush-like lines I can get out of this pen. It's so cool. Now I'm gonna go with this harsher pen for the outline here. So it's black on the opposite sides of his legs, so like the thickness of this line doesn't really matter that much. And then I want to have some fun with like there's a little smoke on the ground. And I'll leave these open areas here where I can just kind of outline his boot here with just solid shapes. Could also use a brush on this, but for whatever reason I'm going. Feels good to go pen. I think I just like using this Uniball pen a lot. I would use it almost entirely by itself, but I'm already super influenced by Mignola, and like if I just only use those thin lines like this, it would, just be too much. Sometimes I go there anyway because I'm a fanboy and I'll just happily indulge. Anyway, yeah, then I'll fill this out in black. It's gonna be fun. Next character is Dana. It's been a while since I watched season 4, so like these 3 I remember less of. I know Dana was just the actor playing her is just great. She just had so much charisma. You always wanted to watch her on screen. And she played a tough warrior type. Yeah, she's just a great character. But, like I said, it's been a while. I haven't watched this actual season in a bit. Despite ending so amazingly, I think the 4th season is considered by a lot to be the weakest season. I think that's fair. Which is probably why it gets a little less love. Despite the ending, which is still just, like I said, one of the best. I'm going to do the gun here. I really should be using a circle template. Alright, I got away with it. I'm horrible. Sometimes I'll do shit like that because I just don't want to stop and get a circle template out and do that and then wait for it to dry. And, but believe me, it doesn't always work out. And then sometimes it just looks a little ugly and then I have to fix it in Photoshop. And oh well. Such is life. Yeah, this isn't perfect, but that's fine. You know, if anybody other than artists are staring at the specifics of how this lines up to this, then I've lost that person, you know. Like, the only persons who should be really taking apart the art is another artist. Or somebody interested in art and studying it, you know? But, like, if your average fan just wants to see a cool Blake 7 thing, if they're distracted by this gun, then I've really done it badly. I've really done a poor job then. So hopefully the imperfections here don't stand out. Although now that I look at it, I realize it's fine for the original. I will touch it up and digitally. All right. Oh, here's the scary part, is the face. I'm okay fucking up other parts. The face is tough, man. Especially for original art, you know? Like, the face is what draws you in. If you fuck that up, yeah, there might as well not even be an original. I use Blake's collar to help draw attention to her since she's in the center, make her the focus. Chin was a little crooked there, so I added some weight on this side. That helped out. I have this open, but I'm going to close this, make it all black. Alright, now Dana's hairline. Let's get this all the way around. Oh, alright, I think this is going to work. Feel good. Feel good. And now I can breathe. I like a heavy shadow under the top of the ear. It helps give it some depth. especially the way I draw, because it's kind of cartoony. And all right, Dana's coming together nicely. Oh, it's gonna be tricky. Don't fuck up her beautiful face, Mike. No. I like to do this kind of crest shape at the bottom of a lip, and it helps give it depth. Alright, I think that works out. Kind of the way that I work is like, the underdrawing here isn't perfect, and it's not meant to be perfect. It's just that each pass that I go along with, I tighten up everything and make it slightly better. So the very first sketch I did of this was just obviously just these circles and just the shapes and the pose. The second one, I was trying to get the proportions down better. The third one, the third layer of this that I drew, instead of doing it in another layer of pencil, I then did in this Uniball pen, where I tried to just make all the outline stuff definitive. So it's like 85% there. And then with this, now I'm really tightening up. Like, if you remember how her lip looked before, it was slightly wobbly. And I think it's much stronger now. This is going to be tricky, her nose, because I want to do this kind of cartoony thing. Trying to figure if I want to give her nostrils or just... Yeah, I think she wants a little bit of nostril. That's... Oh boy. Nope. Nah, it's not bad, but it's not great. It's not what I was hoping to pull off. This little line between the nose and the lip also helps create some depth. I think that works. I don't know. It's okay for the original. But I think I will end up touching it up in Photoshop. Dana had some great eyebrows. She had a real eyebrow game back then. The dudes had their perms. Dana had them eyebrows. And you're like, what kind of sci-fi name is Dana? Well, there was a Y in it. So it's like a futuristic Dana name. And it's funny because listening to some of the podcasts about Blake 7, one of the things I figured out, and I think other people have figured out, was, again, because this was a show that was not meant to go on and be re-seen and studied, you know, that they didn't have a series Bible. They kind of, you could tell they're kind of making up certain things as they would go along. And this great criticism, kind of a funny one I heard about Terry Nation, was he would often just put space, the word space, in front of things, like Space Ranger, Space Cop. You know, there's all these other places where he put in this huge amount of imagination and work, and it's great. Sometimes not so much. And I don't know, I guess Dana just reminded me of that, like, futuristic name. You got Avon Kerr, Blake, Roger Blake, kind of futuristic maybe. Villa, okay, yeah, that sounds like a different name. Tarrant, sounds like it's from outer space. Sulin, okay. Dana. Anyway, I'm not a fan of the way her eyes came out here. But, like I said, I will fix it in Photoshop. The danger here, putting too many lines down, trying to fix it, it's just gonna be blobby and whatever. It's not bad. It's just not. It's not a home run. But that's what we got Photoshop for. And if not, I could still live with it. You know. way back in the day, you would have to gamble with whiteout or maybe doing a photostat. You fix the photostat. There's all kinds of different challenging ways to get out of or around a mistake or something that just looks bad. Different sets of challenges for different time periods. So this part of her outfit is black, like it's black sleeve, but it's also black behind her. So I'm going to leave these outline shapes around the outer edges of this. All right, and the only thing with these pens is they can kind of lose their tip relatively easy. They're still really good for other stuff, but you kind of lose the detail in them. So what I'll do is I'll mark up the inside of this cap, and I'll know that it's not so sharp anymore. Now this will be great for stuff like, trying to decide that way, this way. You know, these bits of renders. I try not to do too much rendering in my stuff anymore, but you still need it just for a little bit of extra shape and energy to stuff. I'm not a fan of the way that fold looks. Kind of hard to put my finger on. All I can say is it just looks fake. It's coming together though. I'm really happy with this. I'm having a lot of fun. Like, one of the main reasons I wanted to do this was, I work on multiple projects. I take on too much. That's just part of who I am and how I operate. And it's just fun to do something, completely fun and goofy. Everything else I do is so much pressure is put on it with like deadlines and multiple projects, and so it's nice to just give myself a break. There we go. Yeah, I'm definitely having fun with this. When I first watched the show, I had borrowed a bunch of VHS cassettes, like a big shopping bag from Brian Glass, who had vigilantly recorded all the episodes himself on PBS and very kindly shared it with me. And I have vivid and fun memories. It was sort of like the last time I had free time. When you're young, I don't know how true it is anymore with everything else going on, but when I was young, there was definitely time where I just had so much time on my hands as I was trying to get my life together and get stuff happening. I have a very fond memory of sitting down with that bag of VHS cassettes, and getting some cheap cookies from across the street. They're like these kind of Hydrox wannabe things or something. I don't remember. And just sitting there eating those freaking cookies and watching Blake 7. I can't watch Blake 7 or hear the theme without thinking of those cheap 99-cent. You get like 2, maybe 3 rows of cookies in there. They're so cheap. And yummy. Yeah, so I would just sit down and just watch, the whole day almost, just watching Blake 7. I can't imagine, unless I'm sick, getting to sit down and just watch TV for a whole day. What a luxury. Seems like once you get old, there's no time for boredom anymore. Like, I literally don't have the time to be bored. There's stuff I don't want to do, and I'm like kind of bored with what I'm doing, but there's always just actual things that need to get done. There's a freedom in youth that unfortunately you can't appreciate at the time. I didn't. No, I really miss those days. I remember reading the first Timothy Zahn Star Wars book. I just had the time to sit there and read. It's crazy. I don't anymore. You like literally have to force and create time to read. That sucks. But I don't know. I guess it just makes sense. It doesn't really suck. Because the other end of it is, I got a house and security and shit like that now. I tried to get their guns accurately, but I did not. I couldn't really find a good close look at what these holsters look like, so I'm totally making it up. In fact, I'm not sure it's even consistent with the one I drew here. Oh well. Alright, so this character, Sulin, she was another smuggler kind of character, and she had this ship called the Scorpion, which eventually replaced their iconic original ship. I don't have memory exactly what happened. Boy, I'd love to find a time to actually watch these again. I mean, I watch a little bit here and there, like on YouTube when I'm going to sleep. Anyway, her ship, the Scorpion, was really cool. I think at that point, Star Wars was definitely influencing the show. Because her ship looked very much like a combination of like Millennium Falcon and a Death Star. And because I haven't watched this season in a while, I really don't have much memory of Suin's character. There's the smuggling thing, the ship thing. I don't remember why. Like one on the original series, their first ship, the Liberator, had this transporter machine, which was seemingly unique in the universe, and then somehow they have it again on her ship, and I'm not sure how that came about. Like I don't know if it was they took it from their old ship and they put it on the new ship, or I don't know. Maybe in the comments somebody will let me know. Or I'll just rewatch it again. But yeah, I think my idea for Blake 7 works to bring it back as a show. But it would be completely unique to science fiction and any kind of revival show. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to hold on to it if I ever get the opportunity to do it. That would be a dream come true. Yeah, even as this pen has kind of lost its tip a little bit, it still gets these like great lines in here. Like I love that. It's very brushy, but without having to like struggle to keep your hand completely steady with a brush. Whereas with the This marker, you can lean on the page a little bit, and it gives you some stability. Oh, I'm not happy with this ear. So his face is coming together nicely. I mean, I can say with Sulin, like, clearly while she was this, beautiful blonde lady character, and this is 1980, 81, you can expect certain tropes to follow her. Some of them did, but for the most part, when Blakeson was working well, it knew how to write female characters when it was working, wasn't always working. And they handled her pretty well, from what I remember. But I could be wrong. It's been a long time. I think I'm going to do her eyes kind of like Villa. I might just do them in black. Can't say exactly why. Nah, alright, let's try giving her... I don't know. Ooh. Oh, this hurts. I'm not happy with her mouth. She had pretty full lips. Thought maybe I went overboard on it, but no, I think it's okay. I know I'm fucking up these braids in her hair. Like, she had her hair braided into this ponytail in a specific way, but I couldn't really decipher what was going on with all the shapes. So, luckily, I'm kind of an abstract, cartoony artist, so I can get away with a little bit more abstraction. Alright, I'm basically done here. I mean, some details, obviously. I'm going to use a ruler for the pen and other details, but I think you'd be bored by the rest of it. Like, it's just filling in blacks and doing these boots. So let's just do a little bit of details here on Sulin's outfit. Double a couple folds here. A little bit of rendering. Alright, like, there's gonna be a lot of just noodling at this point. So this is how it's done. I will do little things like adding in little textures like this along the way. But just for the sake of this video and length, I'm going to leave it here. And I'll post the finished piece. And you can also find like a better version of it if you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, that kind of thing. All right. I think that's it, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Let's see if I can take this one. There we go.